Somebody once said, and I wish I was better at living this, it's not the projects you take that count, it's the ones you don't take. You know, and there's probably a few projects that I shouldn't have taken. You know? But you know, I grew up with, like, you know, Roger Corman pictures, Bird-Eye Gordon, you know, George Pal. You know, he was the top of the line in the 50s, but Roger, you know, like, you know, the low budget, no budget monster pictures, you know. And that's the kind of stuff, you know, that's the kind of stuff I like. Children of the Corn 3. So we're building a duplicate of this building in 8th scale. And these guys are doing corn, miniature corn stalks. We're over at Chiodo Brothers. And we had the big googie. The big googie was in there, so everything had to be 4 feet up off the floor. And then we had to match the live action. We were actually inside the building. They were shooting live action on the outside of. So this is the big monster, built by Screaming Mad George. George and I did, he worked on Brighter Reanimator as well. Blue screen elements too. Which I found out later, one of the gals I was shooting was fucking Charlize Theron. Her first non-speaking role was Children of the Corn 3. As one of the kids. This is like, it's grabbing people and eating them, so we're doing an insert of that. This is called Black Scorpion. So this is another air treatment plant thing. And I'm shooting it in the daytime at Chiodo Brothers' back lot, so I'm just getting the sky. And then we shot it at night, and we also shot it blue screen. I think that house, I think that Roseanne's house looked really good. You know, we did that for Chiodo's. And this is the house model. And what we wanted was, of course, a real sky. Well, they didn't have the money to go do it at a location that had a real sky. Well, Roseanne's house has all these trees in the background. So we actually forced perspective the trees. And we built it high enough to get over the racks and fences behind them. So we put 2 cameras on it, and it was for the Halloween special. So if you look, there's a little tiny jack-o'-lantern. And I had nothing but 2 photographs from the production of what this house looked like. So it's a lot of by guess and by golly. We had to go, so they blew it just as I cleared the thing, so that's me running. Charlie was up on the roof shooting still. So we had one for the wide shot, and we had a close-up over here. And the second house that blows up, the different house, was actually for a Roger Corman show called The Unborn 2. I thought that turned out real well, you know. 8th scale, so you can see our, you know, as usual, out in the parking lot with a nice blue sky. And I think we had 2 cameras there, yeah, because they had 2 high-speed Mitchells at Corman Land. So we're in the Lumberyards parking lot, and at least I had an assistant. Sunset with Bruce Willis and James Garner, and this was Hollywood Boulevard, 1927, from the Chinese Theater to from Las Palmas to the Chinese Theater. So that's that big building in the corner of Highland and Hollywood. This used to be where the Kodak Center is. This used to be a hotel. The Chinese is right here. This is the plate that we had. It was just shot on 4x5, and then since there was no real motion behind there, they had this part of the ship and then the dock, and they would actually block this out, and we just had a ramp on the stage, and it looked like people were walking to the ship. Well, I think that the corridor stuff in Lawnmower Man and that stuff turned out real well. If you didn't know it was, I think, you know, if you cut it in, I think it cut, you know, I'm just using in my reel the actual shots, but I think if you cut it in with the live action, and that was something I did in Lawnmower Man, was they actually cut to some of our pre-explosion miniature shots as they were getting closer to that. So you kind of, and I think you'd be a little bit hard-pressed to tell that from the, you know, yeah, and it's huge. The damn thing was 22 feet across, 22 feet deep, and almost 12 feet tall. The only reason it should have been a little taller, but I had to get it out of the. I had to build it in 2 sections, and I had to get it through the garage door because we shot it out in the back parking lot. I like doing the little stuff. It's more intimate. You know, you get. You know, you actually get to talk to people, meet people, rather than being 5 departments away, or you never get on set, or you never get, you know, and there's always so many politics. Carnosaur is actually the last picture that Rogers actually had in a theater. It was the last time he did release prints, and they put the big dinosaur up at the Pacific Hollywood Theater, which is now closed. But they weren't going to spend so much on post on it, and then he had a really big sales at Japan and Germany, pre-sales. So he figured he better deliver. So we got called back on this thing, and we shot a bunch of inserts, and there was some miniatures that we hadn't planned on, but they, you know, brought in a little bit more money,